I bought coffee for the person behind me in line. He remembered me 1 year later and turned out to be the CEO hiring for my job interview. I bought coffee for the person behind me in line at Starbucks on a random Wednesday morning because I'd just gotten my tax refund and felt generous. The guy looked exhausted, still in gym clothes, checking his watch every 5 seconds like he was late for something important. When the barista told him his total, he patted his pockets and his face went pale. He'd left his wallet in his car. I told the barista to add his order to mine, a large black coffee with an extra shot. The guy turned to me with genuine surprise and said nobody had done something like that for him in years. I shrugged it off, told him to pay it forward someday, and left for my warehouse job where I spent 8 hours loading trucks and dreaming about a better life. That was exactly 1 year ago, and I'd completely forgotten about it until I walked into the conference room at Titan Point Solutions for the biggest interview of my life. I'd been applying to corporate jobs for 6 months, desperate to escape the warehouse that was destroying my back and my future. This was my shot at a project coordinator position that paid 3 times what I was making. I'd studied for 2 weeks, bought a suit I couldn't afford, practiced answers until my roommate Nathan threatened to move out. The HR manager, a woman named Diana, led me through the building and kept emphasizing how selective they were. We only interview candidates who are truly exceptional, she said, with this tight smile that made me feel like I'd already failed. Then she opened the conference room door, and my stomach dropped. Sitting at the head of the table was the guy from Starbucks. Same face, same tired eyes, except now he was wearing a $3,000 suit and had CEO written on the nameplate in front of him. His name was Vincent Ashford, and he was the one who'd forgotten his wallet that morning a year ago. Our eyes met, and I watched recognition flood his face. He stood up immediately, smiling wider than anyone had smiled at me during this entire job search nightmare. Diana looked confused as Vincent walked around the table and shook my hand like we were old friends. "You bought me coffee last year," he said. "You told me to pay it forward. I've been looking for you ever since." Diana's expression shifted from confusion to something calculating, and that's when I knew this interview was about to go sideways. Vincent explained to Diana and the other 3 interviewers that he'd had the worst morning of his life that day. His father had just died, he'd gotten the call at the gym, and he'd rushed out to drive to the hospital. He'd stopped for coffee because he couldn't think straight and realized he'd left everything in his locker. Then some random stranger bought him coffee without asking for anything, without even knowing who he was. That small act of kindness, he said, had stuck with him through his father's funeral and the chaos of taking over the company. He'd even had his assistant search credit card transactions trying to find me. But the problem was Diana. She immediately started making comments about how hiring decisions needed to be based on qualifications, not personal feelings, that nepotism and favoritism were against company policy, that I still needed to prove I deserved the position. Vincent's smile disappeared, and he told Diana point blank that he was the CEO and could hire whoever he wanted. But Diana doubled down, saying in front of everyone that she'd already interviewed 8 candidates with better credentials, that my resume showed I was just a warehouse worker with no corporate experience, that hiring me would set a terrible precedent, and the other managers were already concerned about Vincent's judgment since taking over from his father 6 months ago. She pulled out my resume and started reading my qualifications out loud in this condescending voice, emphasizing every gap and limitation. Vincent's face went from friendly to ice cold. He asked Diana how long she'd been with the company. 14 years, she said proudly. Then he told her she was fired, effective immediately. Security would escort her out, and she'd receive 2 weeks severance, but needed to leave now. The room went dead silent as Vincent called security on the conference room phone, and Diana started screaming that he couldn't fire her for doing her job, but he absolutely could and did, right there in front of me and the other interviewers who suddenly looked terrified. After Diana was escorted out crying, Vincent offered me the job with a salary of $85,000, full benefits, and a signing bonus that covered the suit I'd bought for the interview. I've been here for 8 months now, and Vincent told me last week that buying him coffee taught him more about character assessment than his MBA ever did, and that Diana's replacement is someone who understands that credentials on paper mean nothing compared to the kind of person you actually are.
At dinner, my father told me, "What does it feel like to be a failure without a wife and without children?" While the family laughed. So I said, "What does it feel like that this failure is going to stop paying your bills?" My father looked me dead in the eye and asked, "What does it feel like to be a failure without a wife and without children?" The whole table erupted in laughter. My sister was literally wiping tears. So I smiled, set down my fork, and said, "What does it feel like knowing this failure is going to stop paying all your bills?" The laughter died instantly. I'm 34, single, no kids, and apparently the family disappointment. Meanwhile, I'm a senior data analyst pulling 6 figures while my married siblings can barely keep their heads above water. But every family gathering, it's the same script. When are you settling down? Don't you want kids? Your biological clock is ticking. That Sunday started normal enough. Mom's pot roast, Dad's expensive wine that I bought, my sister Jennifer and her husband, my brother Marcus with his wife and 2 kids. The usual faces, the usual judgment. Halfway through dinner, Jennifer started, "So, still no girlfriend? You're not getting any younger." I kept eating. Marcus chimed in, "Maybe you're too picky. Lower your standards a bit." I took a sip of water. Then Dad put down his wine glass, that wine I paid for, and delivered his line. "Seriously though, what does it feel like to be a failure without a wife and without children?" The table exploded. Jennifer snorted wine through her nose. Marcus high-fived Dad. Mom covered her mouth, trying not to laugh, but clearly amused. Even the kids were giggling, though they had no idea why. They were performing for each other, and I was the punchline. I looked around at these people, the same people who'd been draining my bank account for years. Dad's mortgage when he was 3 months behind. Jennifer's car payment when she couldn't make it. Marcus's credit card debt. Mom's medical bills. Emergency after emergency. Always my problem to solve. I set my fork down slowly, smiled. "That's really funny, Dad, but I have a question for you." His grin was still wide. "What does it feel like knowing this failure is going to stop paying all your bills?" You could hear the air leave the room. Dad's smile froze. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, started reading. September, $2,400 for your mortgage. October, another $2,400. November, $2,400 plus $800 for property tax. I turned to Jennifer. July, $450 for your car. August, $450. September, $450. Plus that $1,200 insurance payment. I looked at Marcus. June, $3,000 for your credit cards. Last month, another $1,500. Should I keep going? Mom tried to interrupt. Now, honey, family helps family. I nodded. You're absolutely right. Family helps family. They don't mock family. They don't make family the punchline while sitting at a table that family paid for, eating food that family bought, in a house that family is keeping from foreclosure. Dad's face was red. You're being dramatic over a joke. I stood up. A joke is funny once. This has been my entire adult life. Every holiday, every dinner, every phone call. I'm the failure, the disappointment, the one who can't get his life together. But somehow, I'm also the one you call at midnight when the bills are due. Jennifer found her voice. We didn't know you were keeping track. I laughed, bitter. Of course you didn't, because to you, I'm just an ATM with legs. The failure who somehow always has money when you need it. Marcus stood up. You can't just cut us off. I grabbed my coat. Watch me. That joke cost you about $6,000 a month. Hope it was worth it. As I walked out, Dad was yelling about family obligations. Mom was crying. Jennifer was frantically trying to calculate her budget. I got in my car, that reliable car I owned outright, and drove to my paid-off condo. That night, I drafted an email to my entire family. Effective immediately, the bank of failure is closed. I changed my phone number, blocked them on everything, set up automatic payments for only my own bills. 2 weeks later, Dad showed up at my office, hat literally in hand. The mortgage company had sent a final notice. I looked at him through the glass door and walked the other way. Sometimes the biggest failure is letting people treat you like one. I'd rather be their version of a failure than their version of a wallet. The silence since then has been expensive for them, but for me, it's been priceless.
Dads, when did your daughter's boyfriend finally win you over? I've been striking out with my daughter's boyfriends for 6 straight years. Kevin stole $20 from my wallet during Thanksgiving. Brad showed up wasted to my wife's birthday and puked on our carpet. Then there was Connor, who called me sir while dealing green grass to middle schoolers behind the 7-Eleven. So when my daughter Alyssa said she was bringing home her new college boyfriend for spring break, I braced for another disaster. His name's Alex, she announced, and he's different, Dad. Right, I'd heard that line before. Alex rolled up Friday afternoon in a beat-up Honda older than my daughter. He walked to our door with nervous energy and a firm handshake. Nice to meet you, Mr. Palos, he said, looking me dead in the eye. Most of her exes couldn't manage that much. Still, I'd learned not to trust good first impressions. During dinner, he was polite enough, asked about my work, complimented my wife's enchiladas, helped clear plates without being asked. He kept his phone in his pocket the entire meal. I found myself grudgingly impressed, but experience taught me the charming ones were usually the most dangerous. The turning point came 2 nights later. I was in the garage at midnight, wrestling with my motorcycle's stubborn carburetor because I couldn't sleep. Footsteps echoed behind me. I tensed up, not wanting company while I was covered in grease and ready to throw wrenches. Alex appeared in the doorway, looking sheepish. Sorry, Mr. Palos. Saw the light and thought you might need help. My dad and I used to work on bikes before he died. I know engines pretty well. Instead of awkward small talk, he rolled up his sleeves and actually knew what he was doing. We worked in comfortable silence for an hour. He handed me tools before I asked. When we finally got the engine purring, he didn't take credit, just smiled and said it felt good to work with his hands again. Next morning, I found my toolbox organized better than it had been in years, every socket in its place. A note read, "Thanks for letting me help." Reminded me of working with my old man. But what really sealed the deal happened on their last day. My wife collapsed in the kitchen making breakfast. 1 second, she was flipping pancakes. The next, she hit the floor hard, looked like a heart attack. Alyssa was screaming. I fumbled with my phone, hands shaking. Alex dropped to his knees beside my wife, checking her pulse with steady hands. He's an EMT, Alyssa sobbed. An EMT. I'd been so busy hunting for red flags, I never asked what he did for work. He kept my wife conscious and calm while we waited for paramedics, talking in that steady voice first responders use. At the hospital, Alex stayed 8 hours, even though his flight left that evening. Missed his connection. Paid extra to change his ticket. When I tried to reimburse him, he refused. Alyssa needed me here. That's what you do for family. While we waited for test results, Alex quietly handled everything I was too stressed to think about. Called Alyssa's work, picked up prescriptions, made sure we had food at home, even called my wife's sister with updates so I didn't have to repeat the story 20 times. My wife was fine, just exhaustion and low blood sugar. But Alex's response showed me everything about his character. When my family needed help, he stepped up without hesitation. Driving him to the airport the next day, Alex turned to me. "Mr. Palos, I love your daughter and plan to take care of her the way you've cared for your family. I'd like your permission to propose after graduation." I pulled over and stared at this kid who'd proven himself when it mattered most. After 6 years of losers and letdowns, my daughter found a keeper. "You have my blessing," I said. "They're getting married next summer." Alex already calls me Dad.
What did the camera footage catch that made my wife's entire family beg me not to press charges? My phone rings and I pick it up to hear my sister-in-law screaming so loud, I have to hold the phone away from my ear. "The police are coming for you!" My daughter told us what you did. I'm standing in my kitchen, still in my PJs, trying to understand what's happening. "What are you talking about?" I ask. But she just keeps screaming that her 16-year-old daughter, my wife's niece, is at the police station right now, explaining how I assaulted her in the restaurant during family dinner 3 hours ago. I spit out my coffee. "What?" My sister-in-law starts explaining in great detail how she plans to murder me, so I hang up and call my wife. Straight to voicemail, so I call my lawyer, and he doesn't answer either. I'm leaving both of them frantic voicemails while running around my house like a chicken with its head cut off. Suddenly, my sister-in-law's car pulls into my driveway, which means she's here to kill me for something I didn't even do. I'm texting everyone who was at dinner asking them to confirm I never left the table when someone starts pounding on my door. When I open it, 2 cops are standing there, and before I can explain anything, the taller one is reading me my rights, while the shorter one is already putting handcuffs on me. My neighbor across the street is recording this on his phone in his bathrobe like it's breaking news. I post bail at 3 a.m., and there's already a restraining order, which means I can't go home because my wife texted me. My sister and niece are staying at the house. I need to know the full story. My wife won't answer a single call. By 9 a.m., work calls about putting me on leave because my sister-in-law personally contacted my boss. I'm losing everything I built over the last 15 years because a teenager is lying. The preliminary hearing is packed with my wife's family sitting behind the niece like a wall of judgment and support. The niece takes the stand crying, describing how I cornered her in the bathroom at family dinner, touched her, whispered that she better keep quiet. Her testimony is so specific, mentioning my cologne brand, the exact shirt I wore, words I supposedly said, that even my own lawyer leans over and whispers, "Are you absolutely sure you weren't alone with her even for a minute?" Like he's losing faith faith in me. My wife testifies that she didn't see anything, but my niece wouldn't lie about something this serious. I know her. She says it with such conviction I want to scream. Multiple family members testify I was acting nervous and sweaty at dinner, and my mother-in-law says I kept watching her during the meal. The niece's therapist takes the stand describing her trauma symptoms and how they are consistent with ongoing assault. The judge orders us to go to trial and increases my bail, but then my lawyer gets an email. He glances at it and his eyes go wide. "We need to talk," he says, "right now." My lawyer got the security footage from the restaurant. The footage shows timestamps for everything, and when the niece claims I cornered her in the bathroom hallway at 8:47 p.m., I'm sitting at the dinner table eating breadsticks like they're going out of style. The niece goes to the bathroom at 8:46 and comes back at 8:52. But then my lawyer shows me something else. At 8:48, the niece is in the bathroom hallway on her phone talking to someone. The restaurant upgraded to audio-enabled security cameras 2 months ago, so we're able to hear her voice clear as day saying, "Okay, so I'm gonna say he cornered me here right now. Wait, what cologne does he wear? Text it to me so I don't forget." My lawyer decides to big brain it and gets a subpoena for the phone records to find out who the mystery partner is. Turns out it's the niece's boyfriend. My wife found out he had a criminal record a few weeks ago and told her sister. Since then, the niece has been banned from seeing him. In court, you could hear a pen drop as everyone watches the security footage. My wife collapses against the wall, hyperventilating. Her sister grabs her daughter's arm. "Why would you lie about this?" The niece turns and yells at my wife, "You ruined my life first by keeping me from the love of my life." Like that somehow justifies trying to send me to prison for 20 years. The judge clears me of all charges, but as I'm leaving, my wife catches me in the hallway. "I'm so sorry, I should have believed you. I didn't know. I just stare at her like she's a complete stranger, because she is now. We're done," I say. I file for divorce that afternoon.
My jealous sister stole my fiancé 20 years ago. Now she's surprised I'm happily married to a better person, and she is trying to set me up with her husband because her marriage is falling apart. 20 years ago, my sister Samantha convinced my fiancé Spencer that he deserved someone prettier and richer. He agreed, apparently, because he dumped me right after my medical school finals and married her 6 months later. The breakup destroyed me. I was 25 in my final year of medical school, and Spencer was my first real relationship. We'd been together 4 years, engaged for 6 months. I trusted him completely. Then suddenly he stopped answering my calls. When I finally confronted him, he couldn't even look at me. "I don't love you anymore," was all he said. No explanation, nothing. 2 months later, my mom called. "Samantha's dating someone," she said, her voice shaking. There was this long, painful pause. "It's Spencer. They've been seeing each other for a while." That's when everything clicked. The walks after dinner when he visited my family for New Year's. How she touched his arm and called him handsome. How he suddenly became too busy to see me during my finals. The lies about working late. I'd been a complete idiot. They got married that same year. Samantha posted their wedding photos all over social media, making absolutely sure I saw every single one. In one photo, she was wearing my engagement ring, the exact one Spencer gave me, just with a bigger diamond added to it. I deleted all my social media after that. I couldn't watch her parade around with the life that was supposed to be mine. I threw myself into my residency, working 80-hour weeks because it was easier than going home to an empty apartment. It took 3 years to even consider dating again. But eventually, I healed. I became a surgeon, bought my own house, built a life I was genuinely proud of. Then 7 years ago, I met Sophie at a medical conference in Chicago. She was a pediatric nurse, and when she smiled at me during a boring presentation about hospital billing, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. We talked for hours that night. She made me laugh for the first time since Spencer. We got married 2 years later in a small ceremony in Greece. Just us and close friends. No family drama, just pure happiness. Sophie knew about Spencer and Samantha, but never made me feel like I was carrying baggage. I didn't hear from Samantha the entire time. My parents occasionally mentioned Spencer's successful cardiology practice or their big house. I'd change the subject every time. Last week, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Olivia, it's Samantha. Can we meet for coffee?" I almost hung up, but curiosity got the better of me. The next day, I barely recognized her. The confident sister I remembered looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes, hair in a messy bun, no makeup. She ordered black coffee and got straight to it. "Spencer and I are getting divorced," she said quietly. "He's been cheating on me for 5 years with his medical assistant." The irony wasn't lost on me, but I stayed quiet. "I know what I did was terrible," she continued, "but I need to tell you something. He never stopped talking about you. Even on our wedding day, he mentioned how smart you were. I spent 20 years competing with a ghost. I should have felt vindicated. I just felt sad for her." Then she said the thing that proved she still didn't get it. "You're still single, right? Mom said you never got married." She reached toward my hand. "Spencer told me last night he made a mistake. He's still in love with you. I think you two should try again. You deserve someone successful like him." After everything, after 20 years, she genuinely thought I was still waiting for her leftovers. I pulled out my phone and showed her my lock screen. Me and Sophie on a beach in Santorini, both laughing, sunset behind us, matching rings visible. "I'm married, Samantha. Have been for 8 years. Her face went completely white, but Mom never said anything. I didn't know. "That's because I stopped talking to Mom about my personal life after you married my fiancé. She doesn't know my wife's name. She's never been to my house. I built a whole life you know nothing about." "Your wife?" she whispered. "Yes, Sophie. She's a pediatric nurse. She's kind, funny, and she chose me first, not as a second option, but first." I stood up, left $20 on the table, and grabbed my purse. "You didn't take Spencer from me, Samantha. You took someone who didn't want me enough to stay loyal. You did me a favor. I found someone who actually does." I walked out and didn't look back. My phone buzzed with texts from her, then my mom. I deleted them all. That night, I came home to Sophie cooking dinner. She looked up and smiled at me, and I realized something. Samantha spent 20 years in a loveless marriage while I'd been genuinely happy. I won after all. My parents chose my sister's birthday over the funeral of my husband and 2 children. The call lasted 40 seconds. I told my mom Nathan and the kids were killed by a drunk driver who ran a red light at 80 miles per hour. She went quiet for exactly 3 seconds. I heard my dad ask something in the background. Then she said, "Honey, I'm so sorry, but today is Lindsay's birthday. We already rented the venue for tonight. You know how she gets when plans change." I stared at the hospital wall, at the children's drawings Scarlett's teacher had brought, at Dylan's stuffed dinosaur sitting on the chair. "The funeral is Thursday at 2, I said. "Well, that's the thing. Lindsay's actual birthday dinner is Thursday. We've had the reservation for months. Can't you do the service on Friday? Or maybe next week when things calm down?" I hung up without answering. Nathan Nathan's family arrived within hours. His mom held me while I cried. His dad handled the police reports and the morgue paperwork. My best friend Laura took a week off work and slept on my couch. My parents sent flowers, a massive arrangement with a card that said, "With deepest sympathy, we love you. So sorry we can't be there." I had them delivered to a nursing home on my way out of the cemetery. The funeral was packed. Nathan's co-workers came. Neighbors I'd only waved to showed up. Scarlett's entire second grade class attended in their Sunday clothes, holding handmade cards. Dylan's daycare closed early so the staff could come. 17 members of my family sent their regrets. They were all at Lindsay's birthday dinner at some trendy restaurant downtown. I know because Lindsay posted 47 photos on Instagram that night. One showed my mother holding a champagne glass, smiling. I blocked all of them, every single one. 6 months passed in a blur. Therapy twice a week. Selling the house because I couldn't walk past the kids' rooms anymore. Starting over in a small apartment across town. My family kept trying to reach out through friends and distant relatives. "Your mom is really hurt that you won't talk to her. Lindsay feels terrible about the timing. They want to explain." I changed my number. Then my lawyer called. The drunk driver's insurance company wanted to settle. They were terrified of going to trial because the driver had 2 prior DUIs and the trucking company had falsified his logs. 7 figures, my lawyer said. Maybe 8, depending on negotiation. "Take it," I said. "But I have conditions." 3 weeks later, my mom called from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. "Why did you list us as deceased on your social media?" she demanded. "People from church keep sending condolences. Your aunt thinks we're actually dead." I'd updated my profile. Relationship status, widowed, family, both parents deceased, all siblings deceased. Technically accurate. They were dead to me. "Lindsay's wedding venue just canceled," she continued, her voice rising. "Someone called pretending to be you and said our family has a history of not showing up to important events. Do you know how embarrassing this is? She's been crying for 2 days." I took a sip of coffee. Let the silence stretch. "That's terrible," I finally said. "Unfortunately, I can't help since I no longer have parents. They died the day they chose a birthday dinner over burying their grandchildren. You can't just—" I hung up and blocked the number. My lawyer called an hour later, barely containing his laughter. "Did you do something to your family?" "Why?" "Because the settlement just finalized. As per your instructions, we've established the Scarlett and Dylan Memorial Foundation. It'll fund drunk driving prevention programs, victim advocacy, and support for bereaved families. And the announcement went out today to everyone in your contact list, including your parents, with a specific note that certain family members are permanently barred from any involvement due to their demonstrated lack of support for the victim's surviving family." I smiled for the first time in months. "You named them specifically?" "Everyone who skipped the funeral is listed by name in the exclusion clause. It's part of the public record. Your mother called our office 6 times this afternoon." That evening, my phone exploded with messages from relatives I'd blocked. They'd all received the foundation announcement. Apparently, my parents were now explaining to everyone why they'd been specifically excluded from a children's memorial charity. The story was getting around their church, their country club, my dad's golf buddies. Lindsay's future in-laws had questions about why the bride's family was banned from a drunk driving prevention foundation. My mom's best friend called me from her personal cell. "Your mother says there's been a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," I said. "They made their choice. I made mine." Laura brought wine over that night. We sat on my balcony and she raised her glass. "To Scarlett and Dylan. To Scarlett and Dylan," I repeated. And for the first time since that 40-second phone call, I felt something other than grief. I felt peace.
"He's just a bartender," my dad snorted when I walked in. Then my sister's new husband shook my hand and froze. He turned pale, looked me up online, and suddenly everyone went silent. My dad likes to pretend I don't exist. Not in the dramatic, "you're dead to me" kind of way. That would have taken effort. No, he just slowly erased me. Left me out of conversations, family photos, even holiday seating charts. He wanted a son who wore cufflinks and talked about sales quotas over golf. Instead, he got me, the college dropout who started bartending at 22 and never stopped. To him, that made me a failure, a joke, and he made sure everyone else in the family knew it too. So I stopped showing up to events, quietly cut myself out of their perfect little photo ops. Until last weekend, my sister Tessa's wedding. Fancy venue, marble floors, chandeliers that could kill a man. I wasn't invited to the engagement party or the bridal shower, but I did get a formal wedding invite from my mom. Probably because Grandpa Harold, the only person in the family who actually likes me, threatened not to attend if I wasn't invited. So I showed up, black suit, clean shave, no entourage. I planned to blend in, smile, and leave before dessert. But of course, that didn't happen. First thing I hear walking in, my dad's voice, already drunk, already talking shit. "Oh, Julian, you mean the bartender? He's probably mixing rum and cokes in some club downtown. He wouldn't last 10 minutes in a place like this." Everyone laughed, even my mom. I didn't say a word, just clenched my jaw and walked in like I hadn't heard it. My hands were shaking, not from embarrassment, from holding back. The bride and groom made their big entrance. Tessa looked surprised to see me. James, her new husband, didn't know who I was. Not yet. Eventually, they made their rounds and came up to me. Tessa smiled like it hurt. "Julian didn't know you were coming. You invited me," I said. She glanced away. James stuck out his hand. "Nice to meet you," he said. "I'm Julian." He blinked. "Wait, last name? Same as hers." He stared at me, then pulled out his phone like he got a message. But I saw him typing, searching. His eyes darted from the screen to me, back again. He went pale, jaw clenched, then mumbled something about getting a drink and walked off. Tessa looked confused. "What was that about?" I shrugged. "No idea." Now, if you're wondering what he saw, let's rewind a bit. Yes, I started as a bartender, but what no one in my family ever bothered to ask is that I built a liquor brand 7 years ago. Started small, got lucky. One viral ad, one celebrity tweet, one distributor deal, and we took off. By 29, I bought out my partner. By 30, I had contracts across 3 continents. I don't pour drinks anymore. I own the drinks. My company employs 60 people. The tequila being served at the wedding bar, that's mine. But none of them knew, because none of them cared to ask. Until that night. James whispered to his brother, then to his dad, then to a groomsman. I saw phones come out. Whispers spread like wildfire. Then my dad came over. "Didn't expect to see you here. You invited me," I said again. Right. Still bartending, huh?" I snapped. "I haven't touched a shaker in 5 years. But the tequila in your glass? That's mine." He laughed. "You're joking." I didn't say a word, just walked to the bar. "Hey," I asked the bartender, "you guys using Kikes for the house tequila?" "Yeah," he grinned. "Kikes Blanco. That stuff's smooth. You tried it?" "I'm the founder." He stared. "Wait, no shit?" I nodded. Shit. I didn't even have to turn around to know my dad was right behind me, listening to every word, face melting. After that, the whole vibe changed. I saw him storm over to my mom. She looked like someone just told her the earth was flat. Tessa tried to play it cool, but she was shaken. People were Googling me under the table. A groomsman pulled up my Forbes article. The bartender who built a liquor empire. And just like that, I was no longer invisible. Cousins I hadn't seen in years started popping up. Old uncles, uncles. One aunt who once told me I'd never make it without a degree tried to hug me like we were besties. I ignored all of them. But the best part? Watching my dad, standing off to the side, drink untouched, looking like he just found out the family dog could talk and never liked him either. I didn't speak to him again. I didn't need to. I stayed just long enough for the whispers to turn into headlines. Just long enough for everyone who'd laughed at me to realize they'd been laughing at the wrong man, and then I left. No big exit, no goodbye speech, just gone. But you want to know what really made it perfect? Later that night, my sister texted me, "Did you really have to humiliate him like that?" I replied, "Did I? Or did the truth do that all on its own?" She didn't respond, but I already knew the answer.
My rich uncle said whoever spent Christmas Day with him instead of their own families would inherit everything. So I was the only one who didn't show up. Uncle Ben had built a successful commercial property business over 40 years. At 67, he was worth around $3 million and treated every family gathering like auditions for who deserved it. This year's Christmas test, he announced at Thanksgiving dinner, whoever spends December 25th with me, no spouse, no kids, just you, proves they actually care about family. That person gets everything. My cousin Brad immediately started planning. My sister Amanda called our mom that night to explain she'd be skipping our family Christmas. Cousin Rachel from Seattle was already looking at flights. "It's just one Christmas," Brad posted in the family group chat. "This secures my kids' future." I read these messages while my 7-year-old daughter Lily decorated our tree, and something in me refused. This was the year Lily still believed in Santa. Uncle Ben wanted me to trade that memory for a spot in his will. I didn't respond to the group chat. Christmas Eve, my phone buzzed constantly. Brad was already at Uncle Ben's. Amanda had baked cookies. Rachel had flown in from Seattle. My mom called, "Sarah, everyone's going tomorrow. You're really not even trying?" "I'm spending Christmas with Lily." "But he's family too." "Mom, she's 7. I'm not telling my daughter Christmas doesn't matter because Uncle Ben wants to see who'll sacrifice their kids for his money." Christmas morning, Lily woke me at 6 a.m. We made snowman pancakes. She opened presents with pure joy. We stayed in pajamas all day. It was ordinary and perfect. Around 3 p.m., Amanda sent a photo to the family chat, all of them in Uncle Ben's formal living room, clearly uncomfortable, forcing smiles. Uncle Ben sat in his leather armchair like a king holding court. I sent back a photo of Lily and her new reindeer antlers, mid-laugh, cookie crumbs on her face. An hour later, Amanda called from Uncle Ben's bathroom whispering, "Sarah, this is awful. He keeps asking why we're not with our families." My kids called crying. "Then leave," I said. "But the inheritance? You're missing Christmas with your children to sit in a room with people who also wish they weren't there. What are you winning?" She hung up. The day after Christmas, Uncle Ben called me. "You didn't come," he said. Not angry. Curious. "No, everyone else did." "I know. Why not you?" "Because Lily's 7 and Christmas matters to her. Your test was designed to see who'd sacrifice what actually matters for what might matter someday. I wasn't interested in proving I'd make that trade." Long pause. "They all came because they want my money. You designed it that way. You made the test about choosing you over their families. I chose my daughter. You just happened to be the thing I was choosing her over." He laughed quietly. "Come by tomorrow. Bring Lily." We went the next day. Lily wore her reindeer antlers and showed Uncle Ben every present, talking nonstop about Santa and cookies. He listened with genuine attention. When she went to look at his fish tank, he handed me an envelope. "I'm changing my will. Everything goes to you. Not because you passed my test, because you refused to take it. Everyone else proved they'd sacrifice their families for money. You proved you won't sacrifice your family for anything." Inside was a letter to his lawyer and a note. "Sarah, they chose to earn an inheritance. You chose to make a memory. The money's yours because you already knew which one mattered. Ben." Uncle Ben died 9 months later. The will reading was brutal. Brad stood up, voice shaking. "I missed Christmas with my kids for this?" "Yes," I said quietly. "And that's exactly why." Amanda was crying. "We were there for him. You were there for his money. I was home for Lily." He knew the difference. The lawyer read the final amount, $2.8 million in assets. Uncle Ben's letter included one line I didn't read aloud. "The others spent one Christmas proving money matters most. You spent one Christmas proving it doesn't." I set aside funds for my cousin's kids, the ones whose Christmas was sacrificed last year. My family barely speaks to me now. Brad's kids still ask why Dad wasn't there that Christmas. "Last Christmas," Lily asked, "remember when everyone went to Uncle Ben's and we stayed home?" "I do. I'm glad we stayed home, Mom." Turned out the best way to inherit something is to already know what's worth more than inheriting it.
"You're under arrest for impersonating a federal officer," my brother announced to the whole room, even as my military badge hung around my neck. He thought he'd won. He had no idea who I really was. "I'm Cameron. I'm 34. I haven't been home in 7 years. Not since Dad's funeral, when my brother Alex made it clear I was too good for this town. The truth? I work for a classified unit within the Department of Defense, Special Operations Division. The kind of job where your ID has a number but no name. Where your own mother doesn't know what you do because you literally can't tell her. This weekend was Mom's 60th birthday. I took leave, flew commercial, bought flowers at the airport, thought maybe things could be different. I show up Saturday afternoon. The backyard is packed. 50 people. And there's Alex, center stage in his police chief uniform, at a birthday party. Because of course he is. He got promoted 6 months ago. Youngest chief in county history. Mom couldn't stop texting me about it. The implication was always clear. Unlike you. For the first hour, I keep my head down. I play basketball with my nephew Tyler. I take off my work badge. Security protocol during physical activity. Set it on the patio table. 20 minutes later, Alex is holding it. He's had 4 beers. I can tell by the sway, the too loud laugh. Department of Defense, Special Operations. He reads it out loud. "Cameron, what is this? A costume shop knockoff?" The party stops. Mom sets down her cake knife. "Alex, give it back," I say quietly. But he's on his phone, calling the department verification line. The public one designed to say, "No record found for classified personnel." "Yeah, Chief Reynolds here. I need to verify DOD credentials." He reads my ID number out loud in front of 50 civilians. That alone is a federal violation. I watch his smile grow. "No record? Yeah, that's what I thought." He looks at me with pure triumph. "This badge is fake. You're under arrest for impersonating a federal officer." Mom gasps. My nephew is watching. "Alex, you need to stop." "I need to do my job." He pulls out handcuffs. Actual handcuffs at a birthday party. Face the table. I could walk away, but Tyler's watching. His uncle is about to be arrested. Cold metal clicks around my wrist. Then the second, I'm handcuffed in my mother's backyard. while cousins film on their phones. Alex radios his deputy. I need transport. Suspecting custody for federal impersonation. He's so certain, so absolutely sure he's caught me. That's when my phone rings. Alex pulls it from my pocket, looks at the screen. His face changes. Caller ID, Jen Matthews. Urgent. Who's General Matthews? His voice wavers. My commanding officer. You should answer it. He hits speaker. This is Major General Sarah Matthews, United States Special Operations Command. The voice is ice cold. I'm tracking a level 5 distress alert from Captain Cameron Reynolds' security device. Confirm status immediately. The backyard goes dead silent. Captain, Alex whispers. Captain Reynolds is overseeing Operation Sentinel, a classified counterintelligence operation. His credentials aren't in public systems because they're classified above your clearance level. If he's been compromised, I have a federal response team en route. Are we compromised, Captain? Every eye is on me. Negative, General. Family misunderstanding. Copy. Protocol requires verification anyway. Team ETA 3 minutes. The line goes dead. 3 minutes later, 2 black SUVs arrive. 6 federal agents in tactical gear. They verify my identity with retinal scan. Take statements. Photograph Alex's security violation. The lead agent leans to Alex. Chief Reynolds, you violated Federal Statute 18 USC 793. Mishandling classified information. Expect contact from the Inspector General. Then he uncuffs me. Sir, are you injured? I'm fine. Do you wish to press charges for unlawful detainment? I look at Alex. Pale, shaking, career imploding. No charges. They leave as quietly as they came. The backyard empties fast. Mom won't look at me. Tyler walks up. Uncle Cam, you're like a secret agent? I crouch down. Something like that, buddy. That's the coolest thing ever. I left an hour later. Didn't say goodbye to Alex. Tyler texted that night. You're my hero. Alex called 6 times. I never answered. 2 weeks later, he resigned as police chief. Personal reasons. Moved 2 states over. Last I heard, he's a security guard at a mall. The irony isn't lost on me.
Spotify hacker got a surprise. So there's this kid at school named Ben who thinks he's some kind of tech genius. He's always bragging about how he can hack into anything and showing off with his fancy coding skills. Most people just ignore him, but he made the mistake of targeting me. Last month I was sitting in the library working on an essay when Ben comes over and starts looking at my laptop screen. I had Spotify open in another tab because I was listening to music while I worked. He starts laughing and says my playlist is trash and asks if he can show me some real music. I said no thanks and went back to my work. But Ben doesn't take no for an answer. He pulls out his phone and starts typing away, and suddenly my Spotify starts skipping songs. Then it switches to some death metal band I've never heard of. I look at him and he's got this smug grin on his face. He whispers that he's connected to my account and can control it from his phone. Then he starts blasting the volume up and down just to mess with me. The librarian comes over and tells me to keep it down, which was embarrassing because everyone was staring. I told Ben to stop, but he just kept going. He changed my playlist name to something stupid and started adding weird songs to it. When I tried to change it back on my laptop, he would just override it from his phone. It was like playing tug of war with my own account. The worst part was when he started following random people on my account and liking their playlists. Some of them were really inappropriate ones with explicit names. I was mortified because all my friends could see this stuff in their activity feed. After about 20 minutes of this torture, I finally had enough. I grabbed my stuff and left the library, but even at home he was still messing with my account. Songs would randomly start playing in the middle of the night, or my playlists would get deleted and recreated with terrible music. This went on for 3 days. Ben would walk past me in the hallway and smirk, knowing he had complete control over my Spotify. He even changed my profile picture to some meme of a crying baby. I tried changing my password, but somehow he still had access. That's when I came up with my plan. I did some research and found out that Spotify has a feature where you can report unauthorized access to your account, but I wanted to do more than just get him kicked off. I started documenting everything. I took screenshots of him changing my playlists, recorded videos of songs suddenly switching while I was using the app, and even got my friend to witness him controlling my music from across the classroom. Then I found out something interesting. Ben had been bragging to other people about hacking not just my account, but several other students' accounts too. He thought it was hilarious that he could mess with people's music and make them look stupid. So I reached out to those other kids and found out they had the same experience. Random music playing at inappropriate times, embarrassing songs showing up in their recent activity, playlists getting messed with. Some of them had even gotten in trouble with their parents when explicit songs started playing through their home speakers. We all decided to report this together, but instead of just going to Spotify, we went to the school administration first. Turns out what Ben was doing counts as cyberbullying and harassment, and our school has a zero-tolerance policy for that kind of stuff. The school called his parents and mine for a meeting. When they showed all the evidence we had collected, Ben's face went completely white. His parents were furious because they had no idea their son was using his computer skills to torment other students. But here's where it gets really good. The school decided to involve the police because technically what Ben did was unauthorized access to other people's accounts, which is actually illegal. They called it computer fraud and abuse. Ben started crying and begging everyone not to press charges. He promised he would stop and even offered to help us secure our accounts better, but it was too late. The damage was done and we were all fed up with his behavior. The police officer explained that even though we were all minors, this kind of digital harassment was taken seriously. Ben ended up getting charged with multiple counts of unauthorized computer access and cyberbullying. His parents had to hire a lawyer and pay thousands of dollars in legal fees. He got suspended from school for 2 weeks and had to do community service. The court also ordered him to stay away from all of us and prohibited him from using any social media or streaming services for